ゆっくりしていってね。
So, Underwater Ray Ramono finally got another season after something like a frickin' decade. While the original series was pretty good and what I'd call a classic, I don't think it really needed a sequel. In fact, I don't think anyone even asked for a sequel, except for maybe those Narutard types who asked for continuations to just about anything. Well, needed or not, it got a sequel, and not a very good one. I'm not even sure where to start with this. This time around, they shifted gears a bit and went for pandering to the female demographic with tons of BL undertones. But they didn't commit to that completely and still have plenty of lowbrow harem shenanigans. So it's essentially half-assed in both of those departments. And speaking of shenanigans, this is a 25 episode long show, but it still ends on a cliffhanger for another season because a large chunk of the show is completely wasted on side stories that don't really contribute anything to the plot or even establish anything about the characters. This, while the later half of the series feels very rushed, resulting in some rather poor pacing overall. Then you got these continuity issues with plot holes and things that just don't make much sense. I mean, I couldn't do a review of the show without mentioning episode 8. For one, this episode introduces a flying jellyfish mascot type of character who is depicted in a way as if they've always been there, and who are never seen again until one brief scene at the very end of the series. I've heard it theorized it's a personification of one of the character's weapons, but I really haven't seen anything that would suggest that. Another thing that was kind of odd was the focus throughout the episode on this golden statue thing that we've never seen before and never see again after that, and it's never actually directly referenced. But that's really just nitpicking compared to the huge reveal during the end credit scene, in which out of nowhere we find the main character being led into a cave, then transported into this futuristic looking place where he meets the only other human character we've seen throughout the entire series so far. This should be a massive turning point in the story, but the following episode makes absolutely no reference to it at all. You'd almost think it was a vision of the future, a dream sequence, or something of that nature. But nope. Later on, the character gets introduced and the previous scene gets briefly mentioned, making the whole thing seem very awkwardly handled, I think. Now, I don't want to get too much more into spoiler territory, but there are a lot of events in the second half of this series which I have issue with. Events that only seem to exist to advance the plot. Like one character being lied to about the death of another character, which I felt was completely unnecessary and moronic and was obviously just there to set up the next season. After all said and done, though, if you like the first series, you're probably going to watch this one regardless of what I say and probably even like it. I mean, it's not all bad. The main character is likable, the setting's interesting, and it's kind of interesting to see what happened after the original series, even if it did have a perfectly fine conclusion, I think. Anyways, those are just a quick few thoughts on it. Till next time.